Welcome to tutorial number 14. I'm just going to run the app here and just run you through where we stopped in our last tutorial. We basically pushed our picker view here and we loaded two wheels, which comes from here. There are 4 items in each wheel, and it just so happens when we load up our array has 4 items. What if we had, let's say, 5 or 3? You would have only loaded 3 in the case of 3, and 5 it would have loaded a blank space. Now, what if you have like 4 here and 5 here, or something like that? That's a good question. So we're going to show you. I saved some time here. Whoops, sorry. In the demo app delegate, I added 2 arrays here: a category array and an item array. I did the properties for them as well. Okay, and it's really the same as the other 2. Now, you can see this code when I post this at the website. And then I synthesized over here. Alright, and then when I finished that, I said self-category array equals NS mutable array allocate, initialize with the objects, and we have 4 of them here: person, lover, friend, pal. And then the item arrays, I did the same thing with sweet, kind, nice, good, fun. And then I have 2 sorting functions here as well. So what this does for us, whoops, I'm sorry. What it does for us, what these 2 do for us here, and we have to release them down here as well in the deallocate. In this case, there's no did unload, so you want to do it in the deallocate. When you have a did unload, do it there. So what is this going to do for us? It's going to provide us with access to 2 arrays that we can then place into our picker. So the first thing we have to do here, get rid of this for a second. I just had it typed in, but I'm going to retype it. We're going to use a define macro. We're going to use cat, and we're going to have a 0, and we're going to do another define macro, and I'll explain what these are in a second. And we're going to use 1, and we're going to save that. What are these? These are basically, we're defining numbers in terms of variables, or and so this 0, for example, and this 1 correspond to the wheels in the picker. You remember in table view, you started from the 0 row and you went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was no 1 row. It was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing with pickers. You start from the 0 row, and it would be, if you're viewing the picker, it would be all the way to your left, 0, and as you proceed to the right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? The question then becomes, we have 4 items in one and 5 in the other. How on earth do we do that? Well, we do it with an if statement. And we use component. Component is here. It's an integer. It's part of this method. And if it equals kcat, we could have put 0 in there if we want, but it would be very confusing. The kcat at least tells us where we're at. Then we're going to what? We're going to return app delegate, and in this case it's going to be the cat array and the count. We're going to use the count method. So what we're saying here is to return and I'm going to just get rid of these braces for a second, is to return the number of items in this array. Okay? Then we're going to type in an else return, and whoops, sorry. That's a method. Okay. So what we're saying here is this. Look, if I'm in the cat wheel, return this count. Otherwise, return that count. Now, you could do several if-thens if you wanted, and it would work. Because it's an integer, you can also use the switch function. But remember, switch will not work for a string. So you could have had here, the other possibility is switch and then pick up the component and kcat and then have it return here, and kitem have it return here. So this is going to give us the count based upon which component the picker view picks up, right? So we're good there, and we're returning 2. So the only thing we have left is this one here. How do we return the items for the picker, right? So what we do here is same thing, really. If component equals kcat, right? Return, and in this one it's just app delegate cat array object at index, right? Remember that one, and row. Okay. All right. And then we're going to take out these braces as well, and we're going to throw in the else as well. Whoops, we need that. Else return item array object at index, right? And another row. So what are we saying here? We're saying, look, if I'm looking at the wheel that corresponds to the 0 wheel, return the cat array, each object in the cat array at each row. But if I'm not in that wheel, I'm obviously in the only other wheel I can be in is the items wheel. So if we run this, we should see both wheels populated with the arrays. And here we got 4, friend, lover, pal, person, remember those? And 5, good, fun, nice, kind, sweet. All right, really simple to do, nothing difficult. Okay. If you had more than that, in this one here, you could not use the switch. There is a possibility. I think you could use then here. We don't have to use the else. We could say if it is k item, then we should be able to return it. Let's see if it'll do it. Yeah, we have to put the braces in then here and specify, I believe, where we're at, because otherwise it doesn't know. Let's see, does it work with that one? Hold on a second. Now the else works. Let's try it again. If it should work. K item. Now it's giving me, it's not, what it's giving me is it's returning, it's not getting to the end of a proper return segment. An else if probably is what you would need. Else if. Let's try that one. It's if component equals, that should work. Not even that one works. Okay. I've used 2 wheels, but I mean the third wheel, I'm probably not typing the code properly, but you can use 2 if statements. Let me just take a quick peek at if I use 2 ifs or if I did an if else. If else. Actually, yeah, here's 2 ifs, but this is on the did select. We're going to get to that in a second. There is a way to do it, so I'll get back to you on that one. But I believe it's 2 if statements. You can do that with, and in any event, we'll just run this again just to show you that if you had more than 3 wheels, you can do it. It's just the way you write the if statements. And at the top of my head right now, I don't recall them. I'm used to 2 wheels, not 3. Anyway, so now, question then is, how do you know? How do you know what you select when you select? Oops, sorry. How do you know what you select from the wheels on the picker? And how does the user know? There's a method that's avoided. It returns nothing, meaning that it will just determine what's been selected. And I'm just going to type in this log. The ns log is a function. If you don't know what that is, %d, that will return it'll print out, it's like a debug, it'll print out information here as to what's going on. I'm just going to show you what happens here. And then we're going to have here, we want to know get this right now. Add picker is the variable, and no, not selected row and component. It should just be app delegate. Let me just take a peek over here for a minute. Again, I'm so many things in my head. Did select. You would just display and illustration format. Did select row. So you're just going to it should just be the app delegate, let's say cat array, right? Object at index, and then row. Yeah, it's the same line. Okay, and whoops, sorry about that. And then in the other case, we're going to copy this for just a minute. And use the item array. Okay, alright. So these should return the objects that have been selected if we're right, and they should put them in the window. I'm going to drag my little thing over here, my little iPod over here. Happy. Okay. Right, so friend and fun are the first two selected. If I move here, okay, it's going to give us now lover and good and pal and kind. So it's moving through each location. Alright, and then it's going to error out because there's no location there. Alright, so what it's doing here is it's only returning the items at the row and index. What we want it to do is return the items selected. Okay, so that requires us to know what row's been selected and then to pump that into the object. So what we have to have here then is add picker, right? Selected row and component, and a component now, right? It's kcat. So, and we've got to set this equal to an integer because we want this information. We're going to call this one cat, right? Select. All right. And of course, it's telling me it's not used, which is fine. And again, over here, we're going to type the same line. We're going to use, instead of cat select, we're going to rename this item select, right? And this one here now has to be the one in item, right? Okay. Of course, it's telling me they're unused. Now, I'm going to now put these in here. So what it tells me is, based on what row is selected, then give me the object. In the picker, that is. What row in the picker, right? Is selected, then give me the object. So it's giving me an error here. This is not right here. Hold on a minute. Okay, item. There we go. Okay. And cat select. We're getting another little cat select. Okay. Let's Let's retype. Oh, I see why. We forgot the ending brace there. Right. Whoops, sorry. We forgot to end it with a brace, which would be here. And then we need, yeah, okay, there we go. Okay. So I close it with a brace. So what is this code telling us? Create an integer and make it equal to what row I select in the category, and create an integer and make it equal to what row I select in the item. Alright. And then print out the information that tells me what item was selected and what category was selected and what item was selected. So let's run this. We're not going to error out this time because we can only select a given row or a given item. I'm going to hit fun here and see if we've got it. There we go, friend and fun. Okay. And then I'm going to hit good here. Right? And friend and good, and friend and kind, and friend and nice, and friend and sweet. And lover, lover sweet, pal person, right? And you can go through this, and if you needed both items or one item, you could pick that out and have it used whatever way you want. We can put it into this, we can put it into that. You'd have both items that the user would select. Okay? And I'm running pretty long here. I'm going to finish this out now and show you how we would add an item to the array. Whoops, sorry. We're going to take this information. I'm going to take out this here, the NSLog. We don't need that one. And I'm going to just code out that for a moment. And what I want to do is add the item selected. I'm not interested in the category. I want really one picker wheel. And add it to my array. So what I need to do is I need to then go app delegate. I'm sorry, app delegate, and I want to add it to the array that is used here. Right? We loaded it up in here, the quality array. I'm going too fast again. Let me know. So I want to bring up the quality array. I want to add an object, right, with the ID, right? And the ID is, it becomes what? Well, it becomes add picker, selected row, I'm sorry, it becomes app delegate, item array, and hold on a second, let me just go back for a second just to, yeah, let me do it this way. This way I don't want to lose. We'll code that out and we'll code this out. Right, so we'll take this here, we'll leave that up there, and again we're going to bring up the braces app delegate, quality array, add object, and we need to add an object. And what is that object? Well, it's app delegate, item array, object at index, and that's item select, right? And oh, we need another brace. Now you could have if you want, to make life easy. That's a confusing line, right? We could say ns string, because you really want to do things in a string. We'll call this one selected item and set that equal to, we're going to copy this just for a moment. It's giving me an error because the line above it isn't complete. Right? We could say that. Alright? And then take this line out here. Okay. Alright. We don't have to worry about releasing this object because it will auto-release. It's created temporarily within this scope. We don't have to worry about releasing it. So let's look at this code. In fact, I am going to quote, I'm going to get rid of this one. Well, we'll leave it. No, I don't want to get rid of too much, but this is here, get the row of items selected. All right? Okay. And I'm going to move that down so you can read it when I post this at the website. And then, over here, we're going to move this down too. Get the item selected. And then add the selected item. Just to sum up here, we have to know what row in the picker was in that wheel was selected. Right? We have to also I'm sorry, we're going to take this line out here and this one here. And then once we get the row of the wheel that was selected, we can plug that in and get the item that was selected. And then add the item. So we're going to run this to close out here. And what should happen is, only for the item wheel, the one on the right, not the category wheel. The category wheel at this point is meaningless to us. I'm going to select Sweet. Okay. I'm going to go back to Happy's page, and Sweet appears. Okay. I'm going to select Good. Go back, and Good is now added again. All right. If I load Happy's page back in, notice what happens. And you know why it happens? Because of this. Because the array here is set up. This array here is set up, pardon me, in the class. Again, if we had set this array up in the app delegate, it would stay as it, at least it would stay as it is for the time we're running the app. So when we get back next time, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to run this one more time to close out. We're going to take this array here, create it in the app delegate. We're going to then use one wheel. We're going to only put one wheel up here. We're going to add to the array, and every time we then come back to our page here, even if we go out and back in, it'll keep it, it'll retain it. Now, again, the caveat will be, once we shut down, once we quit, all bets are off. When you're in SQLite, again, to stress this, or a plist, but mostly SQLite, you are going to be able to retain this, or save it in the database, I should say. Retain is bad word. And once you save it in a database, whether you turn the app on or off, it'll always be there. And that's really where productivity apps go. Unless you have a reason to load up the same items each time your app loads, this kind of thing is meaningless. I'm just going to hit fun once, good once, kind once, nice once, and sweet once. The other thing, also when we return, we're going to move this button up. You notice this button is too far down. We're going to move this up, and we're going to use the button to do the adding to the array. Notice now we just added all those items to the array. And the reason I say that is because you really want somebody to select here. You really don't want them to add, but you want them to select here. And we'll show you how that's done. So that is tutorial number 14. I'll see you for 15. Have a